Welcome to ALLI's Women's Month interview. We're so excited to be having this interview with female leaders who are making a difference, not only in the sphere of leadership, but in many more spheres in that regard. So as you know, ALLI prides itself in reimagining leadership. That's leadership in context, leadership in development, and leadership and accountability. And today we're going to be interviewing a leader who is known for a variety of different roles and different caps that she wears. Caroline Letsoalo has an LLB at the University of Pretoria and is currently doing an LLM candidate rather in constitutional law and philosophy of law at the University of Free State. She's also currently affiliated with the Free State Center for Human Rights, is a former student leader who I know and was a huge, and currently am still a huge fan of. She is the essay winner of the U.S. Muhammad Public Interest Award and a child of the Albert Luthuli Center. Caroline, is so great to have you here as one of our first guests that we are highlighting in the Women's Month. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Alma. I'm really excited. The center is home, so yes, it feels like a trip down memory lane.
Awesome. Let me take you further down a trip of memory lane, like you said. So for those who are watching who have never heard of Caroline, they don't know who you are, they don't know why we are interviewing you and why I am such a fan of you. Please let us know, who is Caroline? Tell us a little bit about your journey, how far you've come, and what you're currently up to.
How I explain Caroline? Caroline is many women. Because I am a product of many women, this journey. So I am a journey woman, obviously heavily influenced by my mother, my grandmother, women surrounding me in academia, women in the center. So I am a former student leader at the University of Pretoria. I had a stint in various structures where I led student protest, student leadership, trying to levy up student demands with management. I think the most notable one was when I was in Law House. I think I was in my third year. That was in 2017. And how I actually got to be involved in the center is that some few student leaders were invited by the director, Prof. de Jong, for a roundtable discussion on what's the way forward after we had a year of campus protests that saw campus being closed for the longest time ever. And that's when I got involved with the center, and I actually never left. I became part of the furniture. That's like how I like to say it, or rather I became a child of the center, like I say that I am. Went through the hands of Katu Swartz, Prof. de Jong, all of them. So yes, that's how I can explain Caroline. Caroline is a young academic or aspiring academic, currently busy with my LLM in constitutional law and philosophy of law. I'm writing on decolonial perspectives in terms of the LLB curricula. and pedagogy. It's quite challenging, but I am enjoying it. Outside of that, I just write also on mostly, I would say, decolonization and African customary law. So yes, quite boring.
Not boring at all, Caroline. I must say, when I also joined the University of Pretoria and I joined Law House, Caroline was a household name. It was just one of those things that if you mentioned that name in any corner, people would know who you were talking about and they would know that you meant business. So I can definitely attest to the fact that you were a force to be reckoned with. And I must also just compliment the ALLI, the Albert Luthuli Institute, for recognizing leadership and not silencing leadership, but rather providing a platform. Because a lot of the times we'll see student leaders who are rising and then they'll be silenced. But in this stage, they instead wanted to basically cultivate your leadership and allow you to shine even more. So big ups to the Albert Luthuli Institute for that. My next question is, we're currently in Women's Month, and people always have a sort of it's a disparity, if I can say, when it comes to how we feel about Women's Month. Some people think it's a time to be celebrating women and highlighting how far we've come. But then for others, it's a reminder that we really have such a long way to go. If we look at the statistics, the gender-based violence statistics and so much more, some people think that there's nothing to be celebrated in Women's Month. So how do you feel? What does Women's Month mean to you?
That's actually a very good question. It's because every day is Women's Day for me. Because I am a woman, and the significance of it being a month thing, I think it's kind of watered down, and I don't necessarily subscribe to that thing of saying you're going to make it a calendar-based thing. The issues of women in South Africa, the issues of women in the world is not one that we can say can be celebrated where a month must be given and say we're going to treat women well for this month. Because like you said, if we speak about gender-based violence, if we speak about equality, if we speak about just mere women treated like human beings in society, whether it be the workplace, whether it be in family dynamics, just entirely society. So what I would say, what it means for me, it really does not mean much or nothing. It does not shake me in a certain way. But I must also appreciate the fact that it is celebrated and it's made a big deal. You will see corporate jumping on it. You will see also government jumping on it, and some organizations and everything jumping on it. And it's funny how we've become a society that has time-framed celebrations. Like it's like a Christmas, you understand?
Yeah.
So the journey of women is a long one, and it's not easy. That's why I like to describe myself and some women close to me, journey women, because it will always be a journey. There is no stopping. There is no taking time off, unfortunately, and it just continues. It continues that not only like myself as a Black woman, it will always be coupled up with the racism. Then now it's the sexism.
Yeah.
And it's the class element. I've always said something, the Black woman is the most disrespected person in the world, in a sense, because of their biopolitics and where they stand in society. And how I'm saying this as a 24-year-old looking to say, perhaps if granted, the universe will grant me many years, is that it's tough. It's tough being a woman in the world that we live in. I think someone who's a little bit more older than me will say, Caroline, it's not as bad as it was 24 years ago. And which is right, because that is their positionality, and this is mine. I'm saying that we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go as a people. Let me leave out the policy, let me leave out laws and everything like that. We just have a long way to go as a people in recognizing that women are human beings and we should be treated as such. And yeah, that's why I'm saying that it's going to be a long journey. It's going to be a long journey. It's quite a sad one. There's nothing to celebrate. But yeah, we live in it.
I hear you, and I agree with you 100%, Caroline. As Black women, we are fighting two wars. We're fighting a gender war, we're fighting a race war. But I really love the term that you have coined as a journeying woman. I think that's so relatable. because even till we live our lives to the fullest, we would not have reached, that optimum level of equality. We will still be journeying, and there will still be people who will come after us who will carry on with that journey of fighting towards equality and being treated as human beings, even before being treated as leaders. So coming back to you being a student leader and mentioning how it's so hard to be treated as a human being, a basic respect that a human being deserves as a woman. But now you were a leader. So you were speaking out, you were speaking in front of crowds of people, you were sitting in tables where, excuse me, I'm sure there were predominantly men. So being a student leader and being a leader in your workspace, what are some of the difficulties that you have faced as a woman, and how have you overcome them to advise other women that this is a battle we will be fighting for some time, so that they know what to do?
Okay, obviously, I was quite young when I got heavily involved in the student movements and politics and leadership. I was 18, 19. So it was also a thing that this is just a young girl, like a little girl, just like calm down. And as you ask this question, I'm getting backflashes of the most unpleasant things that would happen and in between all of these structures that were said by other maybe fellow student leaders who are men, maybe management, and it's an ugly side. I think one of my biggest challenges was definitely the misogyny and the patriarchy. I don't have a set advice for young female student leaders. Nothing prepares you for that because it's violence, actually. I'm actually very much against the fact that violence is seen as only it being physical. Oh, you're shoving me around. We are at an SRC, what do you call this thing? When manifestos, what do you call those things that we had at the piazza?
Yeah, the manifestos.
Yes. It's not only that. It's also the kind of language that you choose when you describe Caroline as a student leader. It's how you choose to undermine me, even though perhaps I am in a more senior position than you. It's always just listen and take cognizance of the words used by males when they describe female leaders. So it is always the most violent terms, saying that one is emotional. Then it will be things that are said that are just ugly. It's emotional. Oh no, you know how they are. It's probably on her period. Things like that. It's violence, and it's not only said to one woman student leader, but it's used to couple us. Then the misogyny will be coupled with allegations of ugly allegations that will make you question your personhood and make the people you are leading question your personhood and credibility. It's never about how you are as a leader. It becomes so personal that they try to rip off your dignity. So how I say you can prepare for that is don't back down, sit there while these things are being hauled at you. You ask, are you finished? And you respond back, but you don't respond back with insults. You ask them, what is your problem? What? Let's take it down to not Caroline as a human, as Caroline personhood, but as a leader. What have I done wrong?
Yeah.
And they'll really have the answer because you're actually doing your work. Women are great leaders. Women are great. Like, we are good at what we do. I'm sorry. So it will never have to do about anything about your role, your capability, your competence. They will find a way to undermine and belittle you. And yours, even though that inside it will hurt, because society has given men this power, this position where they can say whatever they want, how they want it, to whomever they want to say it to. And it's rare that they are held accountable for their utterances. So for you, hold them accountable and say, why would you say that? Because it has nothing to do with the role that I'm facilitating now. And yes, I think that's the advice that I will give to young women student leaders, just that hold your own, know that you are in that position because you are great and you're good at what you do. And everything that comes and it's not directly linked with your role, you should just brush it off.
Yeah.
And also once in a while, just snap back. Yeah.
I must attest to that, Caroline. I know you as the slapback queen, but then also one who can hold her own. And in any discussion, you know, given whoever it is that you are discussing with, talking with, your competence can never be questioned because you speak facts. And I mean, they will try to, like you said, drag everything else about us as women. I definitely remember when I ran for SRC, and one of the questions I got was, how long did it take you to pick your outfit? And I thought, here I am trying to be, you know, the voice for international students. Here I am trying to make a real difference. And right now, your focus is what I'm wearing. And like you said, men will never be given these same questions. They will never face the things that we are facing. So we just need to constantly keep showcasing why we have the positions that we have, and use the voices that we have been given. So let's talk about ALLI. Let's talk about you being a child of ALLI, how you became involved with ALLI. You already told us from the beginning, but how your life in ALLI developed with you know, the Albert Luthuli Leadership Institute.
Yes, I met Prof. De Jong in 2017. This was my second year. The round table with other student leaders. There were other student leaders there. And then I came back again. He said we should have coffee. And I was like, okay, I will keep you to that. And I did go to the center early, and then we had the coffee. Then we kept having conversations. And the center is always known to include student leaders. Like you said, they do not try to dump them down. So there will be conferences that they hosted with international universities where they have professors coming, whether it's conferences with other student leaders. I remember we went to one, I participated in one in Joburg. I also had the opportunity, the center has given me so much opportunities and exposure to what the real world actually looks like in leadership. Because it actually gave me a thing that leadership does not only stop at university level when my time for wearing a blazer is done.
Yeah.
You are a leader in every sphere of your life, if you can think of it. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm taking up a role as being maybe a leader in my family dynamic. When you go to work, you say, okay, this is how we're going to do this thing. And I do not believe in the saying that people are just born natural leaders. Yes, perhaps you might have the trait, but it takes a lot for you to be, I'd not like to say good, but an honorable leader, one that can be held accountable, one that is transparent, and one that does things right. So those 3 years that I spent at ALLI, where I actually even would sit down and it would be a thing before I go to class. I stop by the center and I'm having conversations with all of these people. They tell me what they're doing with their SDGs and everything like that. And it helped me kind of interact with other student leaders and see that leadership does not only also end in political lines. There's this thing that we call corporate leadership. What Prof. De Jong always told me is that, Caroline, you're going to be a leader in one way or another, whether you leave the university and you go to another one or you go to a new company. We need leaders. And that's how I got to become very familiar with the ALLI, maybe perhaps too familiar, because I actually just infiltrated and never left. Even now, I keep saying, yes, the Albert Luthuli Institute, that is my home. So obviously, Prof. De Jong was there. I had Ms. Katu Swartz, that literally, that is my second mother. That is my university mother. Literally took on the role of mentoring me. I think that's the word that I was looking for. Knowing very well that I'm involved in the university politics and the leaders and all the activities that are going on. And it will be a thing where I come and I'm just like, this and this thing is happening. And they will just give me advice. They're like, okay, look at it from this way and perhaps try and challenge it from this way. What I think they taught me is to be able to bargain with management from a very lower level, because as a student, compared to management, you are very, very low. Exactly. So what that skill that they taught me, I will take on forever, because it has made me maneuver through life very easily, like bargaining power and knowing what to say and how to say it and how to present it. And that's actually how I became part of the center. And I was not the only student leader, but I was the one that actually stayed for that long.
Yeah,
I remember there was like 5 of us who were known as the center's students, actually. And now I see it's turned into a research thing. So I'm very excited for that one, because of my research interests and academia. I can't wait to perhaps write something with the center, co-author with people that have mentored me to the young woman that I am. So seeing its growth, its elevation, its transformation has been so beautiful. Obviously, COVID took away a lot of things from us. I've not seen these people in a long time. I've not seen the face of Albert Luthuli when you just enter the center doors. So yes, I hope such a thing happens in the near future.
Definitely, Caroline. We're excited to partner with you as well. Like you said, once a child of ALLI, always a child of ALLI. So that's great. And one thing that you mentioned, I really resonate with that, is what are we doing after students leave these blazers? What are we doing once they've taken off these leadership roles at the university? Are we making sure that they can take it on into their lives, into their workplaces? And how are we cultivating and developing young leaders? Because these really will be the presidents of tomorrow. And so if we are not developing them at this stage, who do we expect to develop them, at a later stage? So it's really great to hear your journey with ALLI and the impact that they had on your journey. So last 2 questions. The first one is, a lot of students battle with this move from student life to work life. There's always, it's almost as if no one teaches us what to do after we graduate. There's that space of what next. So how have you been able to balance this move with where you currently are in life?
How the balance, you never have the equilibrium. It will never be equal. What I am necessarily thankful for is that in my younger years as being a university student, I was not only studying, but I took on other roles, whether it be student leadership roles, whether working for the law faculty, doing some admin for them, and like just doing work, knowing very well how to manage your time. And I think anyone who knows Caroline knows that I have a big social life. So yes, so I can never say a balance, but rather being able to manage. And literally the skip from being a graduate to being thrown into the workplace, I've seen a lot of people suffer a huge burnout. And in most cases, it's students that actually did not engage in the university. True. I think we must stop seeing the university as a place where you go to the library, go to class, and do your work and write your semester test. The university is a community. There's many things that you can do there. There are many different people. There's many different structures. If you can think about the center, before ALLI, it was the Center of Responsible Leadership. If you can think about the many things, that the activities that run in the universities that prepare you for the real world. And it's something that I will not downplay, that being in the center and seeing the work that Prof. de Jong and everyone is doing showed me, exposed me to say, okay, after leaving this gates of the University of Pretoria, there are people like this, and this is what they do. And I'm like, okay, there's life after the university. So you need to start imagining that and appreciating that it's not going to be so easy, because now you don't have a timetable. You don't have a set time saying that, okay, I have a semester test here. You are giving tasks, and because you got the job, they trust that you know how to get through it. They do not care how you get through it, but yours is to deliver. And I think it is a combination of a lot of things. Having good time management, appreciating the fact that the university is not where it ends, and the real world is nothing like the university. And appreciating that there will be challenges, and appreciating that you live in South Africa, where things are tough. Like, it's tough. You need to learn to do that. And in some careers, things are maybe straight lined, but if you take a career like mine, I studied law, I know that there's many ways that I can go. And I've learned to appreciate the fact that I'm young. I can try and explore the ones that are of interest to me. I know you were a law student once upon a time, but now you are in
business,
the business side of it. So I think it's being versatile and also having an open mind. Having a narrow mind in university is something that will actually be to your detriment if you go into the workplace. Have an open mind that things might be good, but also they can be really bad.
Yeah.
And you need to learn how to navigate that. And something that I always used to have a conversation with Prof. De Jong is that learn how to manage conflict also. I'm very big on that thing. There'll be conflict everywhere you go. So learning how to manage it and learning that conflict does not necessarily mean war. So that's how I can advise student leaders that in the structures that you're working now, obviously it might be different how they work now because of COVID, but learn how to manage conflict with your other EC members, conflict with your other employees or your boss, and also conflict with yourself, because you are young and you are going through a journey, and there are many roads. So managing conflict is one of the biggest advices that I can give.
Thank you so much for that, Caroline. I agree with you. People need to realize that disagreeing is not a problem. It's okay to disagree. Because I think, especially as young people, once we disagree, it's we don't see eye to eye. We're different. We'll never agree. But we need to see that it's really okay. It's a process of life.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, another point that you really raised that I like is the fact that you are not coming to university for a certificate alone. And if that's all you're taking away, then there's a problem. You're at university to do so much more with the societies, with the opportunities, just the connections. I've always said, if you're going into lectures, you're sitting down and you are leaving and you are not talking to a single person, you are missing out on lifetime connections. So final question before we end off this really, really insightful interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
That's a very tough question. Because when I started, I said I am a journey woman. And I did say that journey is long. Where do I see Caroline in 5 years? I hope I stay rooted in my convictions, the same that I am, obviously growing and also appreciating that there will be growth. In terms of profession-wise, I would like to see myself in academia, not necessarily saying the University of Pretoria, but any university to be exact. My particular interest will be what is known as the historically Black institutions. So I would love to go back home to Limpopo, perhaps become a lecturer at the University of Limpopo. I'd like to also be part of a connection of movements that are of interest of women, community movements that cater to women and their needs, whether it be women gathering for solutions of gender-based violence, if we're opening up a vegetable garden, whether it be saying, let's meet and discuss a way forward, how can we further ourselves in this career that we're in. One thing that I appreciate about myself is that I don't limit myself to a certain spectrum. Like, I don't only network with lawyers. I have friends who are historians, who are philosophers, who are advocates. And I'm thankful for this big group of women friends that I have, because literally they make the journey much easier. So to answer your question very correctly, I don't know where I see Caroline in the next 5 to 10 years, because like I said, the journey, it's very long and there are many roads, but I would like to see her at peace, doing something that she loves and cares about, and also being able to give back to people younger than her, and kind of aid in a sort of way to say, I've been there, that journey, and this is what I can say. This is what I can say. This is how you should do this. Give advice there. But I really don't have a stagnant answer because I'm also very unpredictable.
We love the unpredictability.
So, yes. So, but definitely I'll still be pestering the center. I'll remain their child forever. So in the next 5 years, I just like to see Caroline happy, at peace, loving what she's doing. Definitely making some big monies.
Yes,
I want to buy a G-Wagon child. I want to buy a G-Wagon child.
Guys. Awesome. I just also really want to appreciate the fact that you have this outlook on life where you want to give back, go back to your roots, give back to home. I think that's one thing that a lot of young Africans in general need to realize again, because a lot of us are leaving. The brain drain that's going on in Africa is huge, where we're taking all these skills, we're taking all of these things that we're learning and we're taking them out, instead of remembering that it's all about coming back to develop our homes, because that's literally why we are being empowered, so that we can empower others. So it's great to see that you have that passion as well. This has been a really great interview, Caroline. Like I said at the beginning, I've been a fan of yours for the longest time. And I remember just watching you from afar, because I used to think, I can't speak to Caroline unless I have the right diction and English, because when Caroline speaks to you, she uses this legal jargon that will, if you don't have your dictionary in front of you, you'll get confused. So having the opportunity to talk to you really on behalf of ALLI has been great. And thank you so much for making the time. ALLI always welcomes you, and we look forward to more partnerships with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I was nervous, but it really became like natural. I didn't even prepare anything. So no, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Thanks.